I almost was wondering on the drive over here, I'm like, would I ever really negotiate anything ever again? A negotiation, just in life in general, right, is like, here's my needs and you have yours. And can we come to the table and figure out a construct that meets them both? And where we're not like sacrificing either of what we deeply want. And so that is a really noble exercise. In a job context, like would I negotiate, like, please pay me what I'm worth? Like, no, I think for me, maybe my negotiations would be pretty short-lived. I would say like, this is what I know I am worth and my value. Do you see that? Yes or no? And then I would walk away. And I think that's power is like...
That's a hot take.
I have a lot of power. I was at this dance retreat in Esalen recently, and in the opening circle, they ask, what do you want to get from the group and what do you want to give into the group? But I said, I can give power. I said, take mine, let me bring all this like life force energy and power that I can provide and almost channel it into you. And it was ecstatic dance, and I was like channeling it into others and watch it, like fanning their flame, right? Like this rising tide lifts all boats. Like if I'm this bright candle, I'm not intimidated by other candles dimming my light. No, we create more light together. So I'm like lighting their candles and fanning their flame and all these other like metaphors and visuals. I mean, I can be rigid in that power too. And negotiation is this, as you say, the art of it is this flexibility and fluidity and the willingness to explore.
Welcome to another episode of our podcast, Gentle Power.
We're trying to figure out what number episode this was, but...
Well, it's almost episode number 52 because our 1-year anniversary is coming soon. And We're going to celebrate it a little bit on Embarcadero in San Francisco. Maybe we'll talk about it another time.
Yeah.
But we have a special guest today, Tallulah Le Merle. Did I say that?
Yeah, perfect. You even said it with like a little French hint.
Do you speak French?
Un peu, oui.
So
we'll be doing the rest of the podcast episode in French, actually. En France.
On commence.
Okay.
We usually like to have our guests do their own intro just because they've usually done so much. I cannot cover all of your very prolific background. Walk us through your experience, professional, and any personal life details you want to share, you're comfortable sharing.
Yeah.
I know, and I just remembered you have like some interesting life stories. And of course, the thread of this podcast is power and negotiations. We want to tie it back to that at some point.
Okay. Yes. No pressure to encapsulate. I mean, I think what I'd say, introducing myself. So I now in this moment I'm in, I feel we're entering a new era of human life on Earth. Like I mean,
agree.
But we talk about how we were hunter-gatherers, agrarians, industrialists. Now we've been in this information era where we really engage a lot digitally, and and now we're moving into something. We have these disruptive new technologies coming onto the scene. I spend a lot of my time in the world of AI, which we can talk about, but what's coming is going to look nothing like what we've been used to, like how we work, interact, play. I mean, all of it is going to change again. And so I say like my why, and then I'll ground it in what I've done before and things, but is to flag bear into that new era of what's to come, and to be a translator and articulator, bring people along, to bridge the gap between technology and humanity or human flourishing. I often say I'm a bridge between those two because so much is changing. It's going to underpin how we interact and almost everything we do in future. But there's a lot of fear around that. There's a lot of uncertainty. And so to kind of translate that and lead with hope, because these things are here to stay. Yeah. And so that's kind of my work. And so how, what that looks like, I mean, I have an investor hat as a partner in Fifth Era, which is a kind of family-led firm, and we invest in frontier technology with that kind of conscious humanist lens. And I've done fractional work for AI scale-ups. I work with them where they're very mission and values aligned. And then I have this whole platform, The Case for Hope, with an upcoming book. Yeah. That's kind of, it's a very grounded and lucid and fact-based perspective on the moment we're in, where we're like looking into this void of uncertainty, and actually very many trajectories are possible. I mean, I'm the first to say there's lots that could go wrong.
I was just going to ask, because you talk about hope and optimism. You're such an optimistic person, at least in my perception of you. Right. And I'm like, what % of you is sort of hopeful and excited? And is there any percentage that is a little scared?
I think they're like, it's integrated. I hold both truths, but for me, hope is not this nice to have frivolous thing. Like, to me, it's really imperative because, and in the book, I talk about this, our collective focus is very powerful. And if we're all imagining doomsday scenarios constantly, we are going to end up, we're going to build that, and it's proven by, totally. And, hyperstition's a proven concept, a Pygmalion effect.
What are these?
They're all, it's like, it's this concept that where our focus goes, our energy will flow there. And that or placebo effect,
placebo,
right? Like what we believe is really powerful. So I think actually we need voices that, and for me, the definition of hope is not actually like optimism or enthusiasm or zeal, which I don't feel actually. I feel very realistic and grounded. But hope is the belief that something good may happen. So just this like sliver of openness, or I say it's like a posture of openness towards the unknown, that there could be good there. And that's all I am encouraging, for people. So that's what I'm doing now. And then when it comes to negotiation, we'll get into it. Like I've lived this whole life I spent 7 years as a management consultant, and that's all negotiating deals and projects and terms and scope with clients and et cetera. And then I've done all this independent work with AI scale-ups where I'm either a COO or contractor, but usually in that capacity. And now, and as in an investor role where you're negotiating in a whole nother ways. Yeah. And then the only other thing I'd say, I spent last 12 years, mostly in the UK and Europe. So there's this cultural element of negotiating. It's so interesting to me, the cultural context of it. And I've now moved back here. I originally grew up in the Bay Area.
And you were mostly in the UK and Europe? Or?
Yeah, mostly I'm British citizen, family's British and French, with Le Merle. Le Merle. So there you go. Is that a good intro? I don't know.
No, that was
excellent intro.
Yeah.
I just don't know where to. How about we pull on the last thread, which is British culture and the American culture. Have you seen any specific differences in negotiations between the two?
Yeah. Well, I would start with the difference. You said it's about power and negotiation, and like power looks very different in different cultural contexts, right? For me, the US version, and I've spent less time professionally working in a US context, but power is very brazen. It's very kind of extrovert and kind of in your face, sort of, and much more direct, irrespective of coast, right? Compared to British or
it's more subtle.
I'll do British first. It's obviously you don't say everything there's this nuance and subtlety. Sometimes it seems like you're saying the opposite of what you actually mean, but it's understood in the context what's meant underneath this, right? So, and there's more introverted forms of leadership. Like I think leaders, I was working with FTSE 100 companies as a consultant, and a lot of those CEOs or executive teams are very introverted, but geniuses, kind of like they've spent their whole career creating credibility in a certain area and they're subject matter experts and they really pride themselves on that, but they're not the loudest voice in the room.
Sorry, this is in Europe.
I think so. Well, yeah, in my experience of seeing some of those teams and the dynamic's interesting. Like they don't say much. They're kind of listening and they're gathering, they're understanding where other people in the room sit, these trusted people that they've put on their leadership team. And then, but when they do speak, it has so much gravitas and weight because it's, because of the fact that they're not just, and that's interesting too. I think both work if they're authentic,
right?
Like if it's in integrity with you when I was managing teams and people, especially as a consultant, there was almost these more junior consultants or analysts would be like, well, I feel pressure to be like you, Tallulah, and have this, like my skills are around communication and people and relationships. That comes very naturally to me. And they were like, well, that's what I need to do to be a successful, more senior person in a consulting context. And I was like, no, and I would say to them, I'm like, I'm getting feedback that I need to embody more of what you have, that I need to lead with data and analysis and rigor, and I need to prove that I know the content before I can just influence with my relational capabilities. And so, we're like trying to make people these jacks of all trades, and then they lose the signal of what's in their integrity. And that's when you're the most powerful leader. And that's when if you're negotiating or influencing, that's when you're going to have the strongest impact.
I love that so much. That's probably going to be one of the insights that comes out of this. So we turn our podcasts into clips and LinkedIn posts and newsletters. So
okay.
Yeah.
Wow, we're going to be everywhere.
We're going to be everywhere. But,
all the mediums.
As you were talking about playing to your strengths, you made a comment before we started, which is you saw this book on our bookshelf, StrengthsFinder.
Yeah.
So I got this because when I worked at LinkedIn, they bought it for us. They thought it was a good sort of leadership. Good for sort of development and playing to your strengths.
Yeah.
You were saying earlier, you were listing to us what your strengths are. And do you mind going over that again? And then I wanted to double click on one of them.
Okay. Yeah. So I did this assessment and it gives you top 5 strengths, and there's tons in here. I actually think it's kind of good, but I love any mechanism. Like I love Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, astrology, human design. I don't care. I'm obsessed with it. So yeah, my top 5 were actually humor. Number 1. And humor not just as like, haha, we're telling jokes, but like humor, as St. Alex, like as entertainment, like someone that you can captivate attention, or right. So it was humor, communication, empathy, orchestration, which is like, the more complex moving parts you have, the more effective you are. You're orchestrating this kind of grand thing. And then the last one was woo, WOO, which is winning over others.
It's an acronym.
It's an acronym. And I love the acronym because it's like woo, but it's also woo, So winning over others, I think, so it goes along with empathy, right? Like I'm deeply empathic. I really read others and I understand them. And so that's probably step 1. Like, what matters to you? Where am I meeting you at?
Love that.
And then I can kind of draw that out. But it's not a manipulation, right? It's just like, I also have communication as a skill. So I'll tailor my communication. I'm such a wordsmith. My friends call me like a thesaurus, like a walking thesaurus. I'm so intentional about every word. And different words have slightly different tone and things. So how do I weave then what I'm telling you to align with what you want to hear and what matters to you? And so then or maybe I'm hearing your language and I mirror it back to you. I'm using language you've already used with me. All these sort of things, right? This blend of like EQ and then the cognitive processing of it into IQ, that then I'm speaking your language. I'm in your world with you. Like, I'm not like, hey, I'm over here and you need to come over this bridge to me. I'm like coming back to walk with you and bring you on the bridge.
Wow. You should
bring you across the bridge with me. My God, should I?
This is so aligned.
I'm going to find it.
Talk about in negotiations as you find the woo.
Right. It's the last one it's page 169 at the end of the book.
Well, this is not promoted. We're not promoting the book or anything.
Yeah, it was just a coincidence. Right? It was on our bookshelf. And Tallulah, you were like, wait, I love this book. And we just started riffing about it.
Right.
And so we say a lot of these things that you just touched on. That's what we tell our clients to do and our audience. So one is, what's in it for them? You really want to think about making a deal win-win, and also thinking about like, what is the other party's interest in this and how to find ways to add value to them, especially if it's at no cost to you, but whatever the trade makes sense. Like, why not?
Yeah. And if it's something you really want to, because if you're doing it for the sake of it, it's not, again, it's that I really think authenticity is the highest frequency. And people also immediately trust you when they know you're being authentic. Yes. And trust is a really key thing too, right? It's like they feel, even if they don't really know you, they just feel your energy is aligned. Yes. And then they trust you. And they're like, okay, I want to do business with this, but I want to make it work. Then you're not like fighting a battle anymore, right? Yeah. It's like, so should I read? Is this too long to read what this woo thing is? Okay. Actually, at the end, there's a sentence I already am like, I have something to say about that.
Okay.
So it says, woo stands for winning others over. You enjoy the challenge of meeting new people and getting them to like you. Strangers are rarely intimidating to you. On the contrary, strangers can be energizing and you're drawn to them. You want to learn from them, ask them questions, find some area of common interest. So true. Like being an investigator of human psychology. Like I could stay up till 4 a.m. talking to you guys about like, why did you say that thing in that way? Why did your body language close up when you were talking about,
We have thought about, this is Gentle Power, we've thought about having another episode for late night conversations, like Dark Power or something.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Exploring the shadow.
Dark Power, the Afters edition.
Oh my God, yeah. Late night.
We'll have you back for that.
Oh my God, I love that. Yeah.
I love human psychology too, and I think that's one of the reasons I'm good at negotiations. People think it's all the trainings and all the classes, but I think it's the understanding of human psychology.
It is. And actually, it's so undervalued in the way we've been doing business to date. It's so, we could talk about like soft skills, of which negotiation is one, or any of these things we're talking about are those. And because we can't quantify them and measure them, which again, in this information era, we've been very we love what we can define and what we can prove with science and what we can, that's our over index is actually on cognitive intelligence. I talk about this in the book, so people say AI is making us less intelligent. Okay, but what is intelligence? Yes, we're offloading cognition, but there's all these other deeply human forms of intelligence that we've gotten away from. And so, there's this undervaluing of those skills. And at the end of the day, that's all it is. Even when people say, oh, these big corporates and they make these companies or this abstract thing. I'm like, it's just a collection of people. And if you can understand those people on an individual level, then you can understand the whole, you can influence, right? It's right.
And I would say even today, soft skills are even more important. We've been seeing this in our client work, but just also as a broader trend, because with AI, it's starting to make, let's say coding or software development, it's a lot less important that you know the actual, how the mechanics of it work and know how to code. And Garrett and I joke, we've done coding classes here and there, but we have always regretted not learning how to code, but then now you can just vibe code and build things within in a weekend that would have taken a few months with a whole team of developers. We're and then so we're is this actually great that we didn't learn to code? But
up until now, it's been my biggest regret in life not to have a degree in computer science. I ended up studying math, which is not very practical. I could have.
I don't know if I agree.
I think it's quite.
It does something to your brain also, though. In the studying of it, right?
Right. Of course, I joke a little bit, but it's more practical. You're at least working in tech. You're a second-class citizen if you're not technical.
For now.
Yeah.
Now, exactly. Now we're maybe it was the right call.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's completely lowering the barriers to entry for any of these, and it makes intelligence used to be this scarce, valuable resource, and it's now scaling intelligence itself. It's becoming this ubiquitous thing. So I talk exactly what you're saying. It's we will shift from valuing skills, can you code? Do you have mastery of a certain topic? Have you spent decades understanding it? To these capabilities, deeply human capabilities that can't be replaced, that can't be offloaded. And those are things like empathy, intuition, self-awareness, openness.
I love that. It's making me feel so good.
Cooperation. Can you get a group to cooperate? Can you
win over others?
Can you woo people? Seriously, we're moving into it's a paradigm shift in what leadership means completely.
Did you finish your thought?
Otherwise,
I want to go to that sentence you had something.
Oh, well, at the end. So then it says, and there are new people to meet, new rooms to work, new crowds to mingle in. In your world, there are no strangers, only friends you haven't met yet. Lots of them. And I read that and I was like, yes. My mom always said to me growing up, every room you walk into, you should think, everyone in here loves me. They just don't know it yet.
But she raised you like that?
Well, it was something she said. Yeah, she was like, everyone here loves you. They just don't know it yet.
My mom was like, everyone hates you.
Either could be true. Either could be true, right? It's again like a posture. It's how you, then what does it do to your posture when you enter that room with both different thoughts?
Yeah.
I feel like everyone in here loves me. Okay, how are you going to act? You're like, your shoulders broaden. You stand up straight. You're like, wow, these people who just are ready to adore me and me, them. Or if you're like, if you are worried everyone hates you, you're showing up already this contraction of I have to be wary, I have to look out. And then I believe, I mean, we don't need to get into kind of the more energetic, esoteric realm, but like I believe we already have proven our energetic bodies expand past the physical body. And I believe the energy is felt, right? So when you're in that contracted state of like looking for threats and things, like you're kind of attracting them.
Yeah.
You know?
As simple as, Alex, you used to talk about this, the mirror neurons, right?
Oh, basically
Like,
your brain is able to subconsciously interpret the energy of someone else. And if someone else feels very open and inviting, then it opens something up inside of you.
Yes.
We also just recently wrote a newsletter about, I'm forgetting the researcher's name, but she was on the podcast Diary of a CEO. Okay. She's a Harvard behavioral scientist, and she did this study where she had people sing karaoke. And before singing karaoke, they surveyed them. It's like, how are you feeling? Pretty much everyone was kind of nervous. But one group was told, before you go on stage and sing in front of everybody, tell yourself, I am excited. And then the other group, they were told, I'm feeling anxious or I'm feeling nervous. And it's the same. At the end of the day, it's the same emotion. It's very similar. But then
the body. It's
exactly
the same physiological response.
Yeah, but then like just like what you were saying is, depending on what you tell yourself, then that can influence what you think, can influence how you feel, and then that can be felt.
Yes.
Right?
And I think we're just on the precipice of understanding this more and more. Like, you know, it's not a deeply explored space, the impact of our thoughts on, I mean, people talk about manifestation or, you know, like, but they've always kind of been in this woo-woo realm. I feel like this episode's like about woo. All the way.
A lot of wooing going on.
But it's just, but there's such truth there. Like, we feel it. And then it's, you know, all these studies time and time again demonstrate how powerful it is. So
yeah,
I think we're going to much more deeply understand this, especially because those are the intrinsic, kind of the non-replaceable human abilities that can't be replaced by technology, right? Like our embodiment, our somatic intelligence, how we feel someone's energy's off before we cognitively understand why, right? Like that we're moving through the world having an physical experience of it, that we are relational and communal creatures first and foremost, which we've really forgotten. We live in very isolated, kind of individualistic ways. Our connection with nature, and I talk about, again, so all these things.
you talk about this in your book?
Yeah, well, in the intelligence chapter, which I'm just obsessed with, I feel like I could write a whole book on lost intelligences and how now there's an ability to restore us to them, because in the information era, if we go back to these 5 eras, we've over-indexed on cognitive intelligence, and we're very like, we spend all our time up in the brain, and great, like it's allowed us to build, look at this, look out your guys' window at all we've built because we've really doubled down on our evolutionary competitive advantage as a species, which was our mental capacity and our imagination and our ability to innovate. But now we've kind of swung too far that direction, and we're kind of sick and anxious and lonely, and we're very disconnected from our bodies and all these things. And so we've created this tool that now we can offload this cognition. It does it better than us. And people are so scared because they're like, now I'm having this rupture of identity. Like, what's a human? And I'm like, well, we were always so much more than that one organ could do.
Yes. There's so much.
Is that what your book's about? Like,
The case.
That's one chapter of it.
Oh, cool.
I kind of get stressed by the book sometimes because there's so much breadth that I cover. It's about, it's called The Case for Hope in the Age of AI. And it's structured, I take common perceptions of the technology that tend to be more fear-based, and I agree with them and I acknowledge them. And I'm like, this is very true. Whether it's that, you know, disrupting the workforce and our jobs, entire industries, whether it's the strain on the environment that it currently has, whether it's the possibility that it exacerbates inequality, whether it's the macro risks of, you know, economic capture and monopoly, or bad actors using it for, you know, whether it's in a political context, limiting freedoms, or the runaway AI problem. Like, it covers the whole breadth.
I love the
I
breadth.
take them all, and then I talk about the real risks, and I'm very lucid about them. And then I provide another framing.
Okay, you're not
You know?
gonna spoil it for us? Okay.
I mean, it's just like,
You don't
where
have
would we start though? Which part?
Yeah.
You know?
Where, when is the book coming out?
Well, I'm targeting spring because I feel spring and hope.
New.
Spring is a time for woo.
Yeah.
Even nature is wooing. If you think, have you guys ever played Sims?
I haven't played it, but
bit,
yeah.
yes.
When the Sims woo, that's when they're having
When
intimate
they go like,
relationship,
woo, right? Yeah.
Or they
yeah.
woo. Don't they woo when
Yeah.
they're like sleeping together?
When they
I don't
woo
know.
each other.
And then spring is like springtime is when nature woos.
Yeah.
And we all
it's coming back out
Oh
of,
my God,
out of
guys.
the dark winter.
Who knew this term?
Yeah.
Connect all together.
I think that's the title of this episode, right?
Wait, actually, also go like this. Just on the here, go like this. Okay, keep doing that. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Who's there?
Woo.
Who?
See, that's good.
Yeah.
Humor, guys. Jokes ready. Yeah.
But I love that you talked about authenticity because we tell our clients, well, there's a lot of misconceptions out there around power negotiations. And one of the biggest ones that we go against is that I think, a tip that people hear is that tell a company that you have another offer and you lie even if you don't. And we are very against it.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
Not only for ethical reasons, obviously lying, not good, but also because there are all these micro expressions when you're lying that you're giving away. Like you're leaking the lie in various micro expressions, and recruiters are negotiating day in and day out. They also know you now. By the time you start saying that you have another offer, they already have enough data points to know that you're lying. And people don't realize that the recruiters can pick up on you lying. And you also have to create a full universe of like the lie. So it's like, okay, like you have another offer. Who is it from? How much did they give you?
I know. And then you're
When's
deep
the
in this
deadline?
thing.
Yeah.
And you're icky. It's like icky to you then.
Yes,
if you're caught in that, right? You know what I mean?
It's such a red flag. Offers have been rescinded when they catch you lying. So I can see the overlap in what you're saying with like authenticity and your body and like originality and all that. With how important that is in negotiations. Cool. So on that, do you have any hot takes on negotiations?
Well, it's just more along the lines of what you said. I don't know if it's a hot take because, I mean, you guys will know if it's a hot take because this is like your world day in, day out. But I think that like negotiating, I mean, it's tough, right? Because if you...
It could also be a hot take on power.
Well, I mean, power... I love that it's called gentle power because we were also saying like I think more and more there will be space for these different forms of power that are in integrity and the frequency of that. Like we were saying, negotiating, you know, I was thinking about, and I could tell these stories of when I've negotiated across my career in a professional context. I think now I almost was wondering on the drive over here, I'm like, would I ever really negotiate anything ever again? Maybe that's a hot take.
And why is that?
Because I have this really firm belief that like what's meant for you won't miss you.
I remember that was one of the things we disagreed on the first time we met.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, okay, I love this. We have to talk about it.
Yeah, we have to talk about it. So all deep conversations I have with people converge on, do we have free will?
Right.
All roads lead to the free will conversation with Gerta.
Yeah.
And so I feel like the concept of destiny and what's meant for you, it kind of clashes with free will. To be fair, so here's my hot take.
Okay.
I don't think we have free will, but I think we have to live as if we do, just in case we do.
Well, I believe actually in both. I think that like there's maybe this one path or whatever, but that you can choose you can choose within that to make decisions that lead you then elsewhere, and that there's like, and then it's ever evolving, right?
Yeah.
But so negotiating, and maybe it comes down to like how we define the word, because I think for sure a negotiation, just in life in general, right, is like, here's my needs and you have yours. And can we come to the table and figure out a construct that meets them both, and where we're not like sacrificing either of what we deeply want. And it's kind of, we end up in the win-win, right?
Yeah.
And so that is a really noble exercise.
Yeah.
And I would for sure do that. But part of me also, when I think of negotiation, it's like, I think, and I don't think this is even the real definition, but I feel this like desperation of like, in a job context, like would I negotiate, like, please pay me what I'm worth? Like, no, I think for me, maybe my negotiations would be pretty short-lived. I would say like, this is what I know I'm worth and my value. Do you see that? Yes or no? And then I would walk away. And I think that's power is like...
That's a hot take.
If they were to say no, I mean, I think the clearer you are on your needs and if you just voice them, you'll know pretty quickly whether or not the other person on the other side of the table, whether it's professional, relational, etc., can meet it. Or if they're curious about meeting, if they want to work with you to meet it, right? If they're like, look, we really see your value but we're in this... Because I've worked with scale-ups who had less money than maybe what my retainer rate was, right? And so I would have a conversation with them like, this is what I usually do. But I loved the team and I believed in them. And they loved me and they really wanted the help. And so, of course, I'm not going to be like, well, screw you, you don't have the money. Like, too bad. Then it's kind of, they're like, we can't do that right now, but it's not that we're not valuing you. And then there's this exchange there that's more human.
People, when they think of negotiations, they think of it as this really intense, kind of aggressive zero sum, each side like
fighting each other.
Yeah, fighting each other.
They're already like, I gotta fight to get what I want, and they're already against me.
Right.
Which is that posture towards the room. The room's already against me. The negotiation's already against me.
Part of our job has been to educate the audience so that you don't have to see negotiations that way. It could be very collaborative. We want to think of it as very collaborative, very win-win. Expand the pie. That is like my ideal outcome.
We approach negotiations as this pie expanding and value generating exercise where you're teaming up with the other side and exploring together to find something that actually works.
I think AI has I use ChatGPT all the time. I'm so addicted. I don't know about you, but
look, I think that I think it's so powerful in the way it meets people's human needs. Which, I mean,
validation. It pains me a little bit where it uses the word negotiation in the context of boundaries. Like you negotiate your boundaries, or in a very negative light. Like it says you don't want to negotiate your boundaries, or in a trade-off way where like, oh, you're giving up something that's important to you to gain something else.
Like compromise.
Compromise.
Treating it as compromising.
Yes, exactly.
Instead of just, I love that. It's almost, again, it's like this mindset you go into it with. What if you go into a negotiation being like, I have all these needs and like, show me how beautifully they can all get met while meeting this other person's too. Like, how great that we're going to find a way that I compromise on nothing, actually. Just express what I desire and want. And that will all be met while also being great for the other person.
And the subtext of what you're saying, or like a key ingredient in there, is creativity. Like, I love going into a negotiation with like, let's find out how we can meet each other's needs, and even needs that we hadn't even thought about. Do you have any specific negotiation examples? Like either it went in an unexpected way, or if it was interesting in any unique way?
Well, the most interesting, again, I came with all these like professional examples. But the most interesting are personal.
Let's do
really. I mean, I'm like, do I share this?
Can make an exception and cut it if you regret it.
I'm in a situation now. My energy's been very sovereign in dating for a long time. I genuinely feel partnership is such a gift. And we kind of take for granted, like, okay, I don't know, all this conditioning of you have to find it by a certain time and get married, all these things. It's like, do we forget it's the most beautiful, incredible gift to find someone with whom you want to build something and to be in constant negotiation of that. And you're coming with these two separate, completely, right? Oh my God, cute. Look at them holding hands. I feel like I'm almost like an ordained. Like,
we're actually renewing our vows and you're officiating it. So.
Can I just brag very quickly? We've been together 14 years, married for 10.
Amazing.
We met when we were 4. I'm joking.
Well, and so maybe it's almost...
It's a joke to make people think we're like 18.
Okay. No, but that, and so especially when you've been together that long, we're always evolving and growing every time. So I imagine your 14-year relationship has been actually a relationship with almost completely multiple versions of different people.
100%.
And then you're always coming back to the table, negotiating for the new needs or the new person that's in front of you.
Yeah.
And so you guys have done that and evolved together, which is this miraculous thing.
Truly.
Right?
But you were saying in your
relationship.
well, I don't know if she said that, but then it sounds like it could be.
It's dawning of something interesting, and you can never say what something will be. But it's so, I'm forced to. I have a lot of power. I was at this dance retreat in Esalen recently, and in the opening circle they ask, what do you want to get from the group and what do you want to give into the group? And I can't remember my get, but I said I can give power. I said take mine, let me bring all this life force energy and power that I can provide and almost channel it into you. And it was ecstatic dance, and I was channeling it into others and watch it, fanning their flame, right? This rising tide lifts all boats. If I'm this bright candle, I'm not intimidated by other candles dimming my light. No, we create more light together. So I'm lighting their candles and fanning their flame and all these other metaphors and visuals. But I can be rigid in that power too. And negotiation is this, as you say, the art of it is this flexibility and fluidity and the willingness to explore. Because when you get to things like boundaries and this toughness, that's all coming from fear, right? It's I'm putting those in place because I'm afraid that I'm not going to be met, that my needs aren't going to be met, that something's going to hurt me. And by the way, why are we so afraid of getting hurt? At a certain point in our lives, we've all been hurt many times. And it was always beautiful in the end. And you rose like a phoenix from the ashes, and you were even more embodied and more knowing of yourself. Why would I be afraid of that? Actually, that's so cool. Great. And this is the shadow, the part of after hours conversation. So anyway, I'm in this negotiation now, I guess, of you're a fully formed person, this other person, with all these experiences and needs, and I have and know mine. And also when you do nonviolent communication, have you guys ever looked into those workshops and they say this thing, which is your needs are just as important as my needs. They're just as important. My needs are important. Your needs are important. And actually that openness is so important even in a negotiation. Usually we come being I know my needs, and what power is, especially as a woman, is I'm not going to compromise on my needs. And if they can't meet it, I have a boundary. Fine. Good riddance. I'll find someone who can meet all my needs. And actually I was realizing I can be very powerful and acknowledging of those, and be your needs are also just as important. And that doesn't weaken mine. And it doesn't make me weaker for hearing and acknowledging yours. It makes me
actually
more evolved,
because you can hold both.
I'm holding both. Can I hold both?
Right.
And so it's expanding my capacity to be actually, and the softness of understanding theirs, even if they scare me or unfamiliar, and holding my own. I'm wow. So that's very present for me, even as of this morning. Okay. It's very alive for me right now.
Wow. So I cannot. You said you're considering having your own podcast. I cannot wait to listen. You should go into all of the topics we touched on here.
Thanks. Yeah.
So top of mind is the situationship negotiation. Got it. Can we go more specific? Can you give a specific example, even professional, personal? How it unfolded, what did you learn, or how did you manage it?
I'm going to keep talking about the personal, actually.
It's
going to take us in a very different direction, but I'm going to do it.
Let's do it.
Again, we had a podcast episode on negotiations in love recently, and dating, love and dating.
Okay.
And I'll just touch on it very quickly. Basically, our main idea was that in love and dating, vulnerability is actually a marker of power rather than of weakness. And I think, at least in the zeitgeist, at least in the Bay Area, what I see is people don't want to be vulnerable because they fear that they'll seem weak. But I think if you just go shoot your shot, ask for your needs, or share your needs, share your wants, that just shows you are so anchored in yourself. You're I like you. I want to be with you. Or here are my needs. Can you meet them? If not, then it's fine. I'm so anchored.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly that. It's that's what I was meaning when, when I'm it's powerful to show up knowing your boundaries and knowing your worth and things, but you're just also operating out of fear and protecting yourself. If you softening is the ultimate power and trusting of yourself. Like if I soften into this and I get hurt, I still have me. I come back then and I'll always be fine.
Yes.
And I'll always emerge stronger. Yeah. And that's really powerful. And it's gentle power. Exactly the same as it suggests,
we
right?
call it gentle power.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's the truest form of power. If you have to strong arm someone into something, you're just so scared of a different outcome that you can't handle it, rather than strong arm someone. Or like if you think of someone who, let's say a person like someone else and they're like, oh, I'm not going to shoot my shot because what if they turn me down? It's like, that means you're so scared of the outcome that you're not even going to try for something you want.
Yeah.
That is weakness in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have had these experiences, not even just this acute one that I'm having now in my personal life, but recently where...
Acute as one word or...
acute as in like
cute.
immediate.
Okay.
No, like acute versus like chronic, you know? But I had this vision of what like my partner, my like future partner who we build our lives together, and we have the same vision in terms of scale and what we want and all these things. I had a vision of what they would be, which I realized was distorted, and that I was actually outsourcing my power. And it was because of this. So I realized, so I had this vision, which included, I think many people will relate to this, you know, like what background do they come from? What type of job do they have? What kind of career, the amount of success that matches mine? Because I'm like, well, I know what I bring to the table and I want them to match that, right? Kind of these rigid perceptions.
And sorry to interrupt, we have friends who not only have all of that, they also have retirement plan.
Yeah.
And they also have a number of, so ideally 6-packs.
Or these
height,
physical.
And height,
Oh, right. And I think like it's very well and good to have preference or even to have a vision, and maybe you are really, but I realized, for me at least personally, because I was really wrestling with this recently, I met someone I had a connection with who was none of those things really. And I don't necessarily think they're my person, but I had this strong connection. So then I was like, wow, what does that mean for this vision that I had? And I realized this vision of this person who has a certain career and this background or whatever, I'm like, why do I want someone like that to choose me? Like, why is that so important? And I realized, I believe if that type of person chooses me, it validates that I am all those things. It's proving I'm all those things, and it's validating of my own power and my own worth and my own success if someone who is a mirror in all those ways chooses me. And then I realized I am all those things. I don't need my partner to be those things to prove that I am them. Right. I already am them. So that was the first piece. I was like, wow, it's a distortion that I feel like I need it to validate me. I am that. I don't need anything external to validate it. And then the second thing I thought, I was like, say I meet this person that's like, I don't know, they have like some super senior role in what, like JP Morgan or like some exec, there's some exec in some big corporate. And then I thought, would I really be inspired by that person? What have they done with their whole life then? They've like worked their way up a career ladder and like sat at a desk most of their life and burned the midnight oil and like climbed the rungs of these systems and structures that actually are going to become obsolete, I believe, in the next 5 to 10 years.
You are talking about most of our clients right now.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. And like,
we'll be open to date you if it's a line.
There can be that too. And I'm not being hypocrite. I've spent most of my career doing that too. I was a management consultant. Right? Like,
all of it. I think we've all been on that journey.
There's nothing wrong with it. And we are, I mean, we've lived in the world we've lived in. Yeah. And that's what it's valued is kind of like the accolades and the achievements. And we've all done it. But that alone, right? And I'm not saying that they wouldn't have done those things, but unless there was also, I mean, I'm such a depthful person. I've explored really the realms of human psychology, wellness, wisdom, consciousness, spirituality to an extent. I love art. I play music. I play the piano. I sing. I gather people in music and song. So like, also could they have all those things? Or also could they have indexed more heavily on that in their path and still be someone who is, right? Because like there's very successful people who have come up through the arts or through these other areas, and I was just having this very narrow version of success in mind, right? Yeah. So I'm sorry, people, like, look, maybe I'm not saying I'm ruling you out, but I'm saying in my vision, I was only accounting for that version of success without really looking at like people can be powerful and have success in totally different ways too, right? And so And now I'm like, how do I tie this back to negotiation?
It's so true, because I think because we live in a certain society or certain communities, we're often fed a blueprint of what we think success should be, or this is what makes you a person worth dating, or this is what makes you, you've killed it in your career. But I think especially after we've started our business, there are so many more ways to achieve whatever goal that you have without having to follow a specific path that is coming externally. But if you kind of look inside and it's like, okay, well, how do I want to get there? What is it that I actually want to do? And then go about it that way. I feel like going about the entrepreneurial journey, and I'm sure in your journey too, we've seen how there are many, many ways to get to some sort of goal.
Right.
But we feel this pressure that we have to follow it a certain way, especially in San Francisco. It's like the only way that you are considered a success is if you build a tech-enabled software product,
oh my God,
now an AI product, and you raise millions and it's VC backed, and then you sell it. That's like the one way that means you've achieved success. But we were just chatting with a mentor of ours yesterday who has built a unicorn company. It achieved $1 billion valuation. He was founder and CEO.
And the crazy thing,
and the crazy thing is, once he achieved the unicorn status, he said it was one of the worst weeks of his life, even though he achieved his absolute dream in life, because his good friend just took his company IPO that same week and it achieved $100 billion valuation. And so like,
it was the worst week of my life.
Yeah, it's like, wow. And so I think that if we focus less on what is the way that we're told to succeed and actually get there, but be open and flexible to seeing, what are other ways that I can achieve this goal or make myself happy, and not have that external pressure try to, feed too much into us. Now, I'm not sure how this ties to negotiations, I
think the way it ties is that you almost like negotiated in the positive definition of the word, which I hate that I have to clarify. You kind of negotiated with yourself. You're like, I thought I needed this, but actually it sounds like I'm very drawn to something else. You're negotiating your priorities in a way.
Oh my gosh. And I really want to pull on this thread, because one thing I've been thinking a lot about, and I have a partner hat, right? And I'm in this investor role. And exactly what you're saying, especially in Silicon Valley, so many builders and founders, they're remarkable and they're so talented, but they are just like, they're building what they think they should build. They're like, I'm coming out of Stanford. I'm this genius engineer. I have all these coding skills. I've been told I need to get an immediate, find the immediate go to market or have some big exit or sell my company. And that's what success is. And so like, where can I do that? I don't know. There's this use case now in enterprise AI, in enterprise to automate this manual workflow. So I'm going to build this finance function AI thing, right?
Yeah.
And then they build it. And sure, but then what's missing is like the soul and like the humanity. And so if we go back to my more flourishing human future underpinned by technology, I'm constantly asking those founders, like, how does what you're building actually contribute to that future? And can you tell me that? And otherwise, I don't want to invest in you. I don't want to back you, because then I'm backing this trajectory that we're all worried about, that this kind of like this very commercially capitalist driven building, right? And so inviting them to care about that, because it's not their fault that they're not doing it. I don't think it's this malicious thing that it gets, people are like, oh, these like, and there's such a lack of trust. I'm like, at the end of the day, it's people, it's individuals who have just been told, they've never been given the invitation to build something they also deeply care about, because they're being told, chase this version of success that you were just talking about. So it's like, how as allocators and investors do we invite them, or almost set it as a prerequisite? Like, we're not unlocking capital for something unless you can tell me how what you're building contributes to a more flourishing, hopeful human future and life on Earth. Then we shouldn't be unlocking capital for it. And we should be helping, like, everyone wants to feel that they have deep meaning in what they do and deep purpose and deep satisfaction. So it's a relief to invite them back into that too. So again, it's this win-win, not having people negotiate with themselves. Those builders are maybe like, I love Rubik's cubes, or like, I love birds, but I have to go spend my life hustling to build this soulless thing that then I get the exit and I'm not even fulfilled.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, but like, what if you used all the skills and your credentials and like, is there birds in the vision too? Right?
Yeah.
They've never been invited to explore that. So they have to negotiate with themselves instead.
I'm finding it very fascinating that you go to these types of founders and you invite them. You maybe this is part of your top strengths, as opposed to just going to founders who are building what they're passionate about. I assume you do that as well. But are you more drawn to lighting the candle of someone else?
Also, I think both, right? And there's what's lacking right now in the tech ecosystem of Silicon Valley and all these hubs is humanist first builders. They don't see themselves in the equation. They're like, well, I'm not technical. I don't have this technical background. I'm not a coder. And they deeply care about humanity, and they hear all this fear-based messaging around AI. So they're like, I don't want to touch that with a 20-foot pole. I don't want to come anywhere near that. And I'm like, this is the biggest risk of all. Because if they don't see themselves as part of it and bring their soul and their humanity and then use the fact we're at this moment where the barriers to entry for actual coding and technical skills are lowering and lowering to come build the future, then we will again end up in these kind of, we're going to follow a less than ideal trajectory from a humanity perspective. Yeah. So I have this like rallying call of like, come be part of it. And look, I embody both. I always say my career has been spent as a technologist, but I'm a humanist first. And I'm not the most technical person in the world, although I'm very tech savvy. So I'm like, see yourself in me and be part of this also with me, using my woo. I'm really just hypnotizing people. I'm really just manipulating them all. I'm like, you will come be part of this, you know?
Isn't there a bird that kind of like calls? Is it the canary in the coal mine? No, the positive way. There's like a bird that brings hope or something. It's very.
Is it a dove? No.
A dove,
Is it
maybe?
a bald eagle?
But it's very fitting with your last name. Like there's
Seriously.
you're the bird that's like, join me as I point you to the future.
Well, that's why I say flag bearer.
Yeah.
Flag bearer. I was always using the term being like, why do I keep saying flag bearer? And then I realized a flag bearer, I had this image like flag bearer on the front lines of an army going into battle. And it's like holding the flag and has no armor or weapons, but it just goes like, ah! It like leads the charge. And it's like, we're going into this void of abyss. And I kind of feel like that. Like, and there's a delusion to it also. And maybe people would think that.
You have to be a little delusional for these things. And Alex has a favorite quote on the, we think we're...
Oh, yeah. It's from the movie Amazing Grace. I think I've talked about it on like every other podcast episode, but the quote is, we are too young to realize that certain things are impossible, which is why we do them anyway. And so I first heard that quote in college, and I always thought to that, how... don't let your assumptions or beliefs stop you from trying things.
Yeah.
Just, even if it's impossible, we're too young to realize that. So we're still doing it.
It's always been impossible. Like if you talk to a lot of the key builders in tech and things, they say they're inspired by sci-fi novels often. And the sci-fi novelists painted a vision of a future that was impossible. Like it couldn't exist at the time, but they created a vision that then people built towards. And when you said that, you also reminded me of, my book is very grounded in fact, but I do have this epilogue that's called Postcards from Imagined Futures. And I write like 5 years out, 20, 50 or 50, 100. I can't remember exact time frames, but it's like, almost a sci-fi-esque fiction-based representation of what life could be like then. And there's this one thing I wrote in one of them, and that I was crying. I was brought to tears by my own writing, which was like writing from the perspective of this future person, thinking about the ancestors, which in this case would be us, who believed that the most hopeful, flourishing human future was possible and held that vision and were so adamant about it and so believing in it and delusional about it that they would stop at nothing to try to bring it into reality. And almost the gratitude that those future generations had, that there were these believers who fought against all odds and all the rest of the narrative and the tide of the fear and the darkness to they were like lighthouses through this pitch black night with these waves crashing against the shore. And they were this lighthouse, this like beam of just light and potential. So I don't know, when you said that, that came to me.
I love that you use the analogy of a lighthouse. We have a very good friend who's famous DJ, and she went through a breakup, but she still really loved her. I'm tying it back to love negotiation.
We love love.
We love. But she was still very, she had a lot of feelings about her ex. And I don't know if it was her ex, but they lost touch. And so what she did is, and this is such a woman thing, she became such a famous artist and DJ. She DJ'd at Coachella and everything. And he found her. Like, he just saw her somewhere. Like, he saw maybe a Coachella poster or something, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, that's her!" And then he found her way back to her, and then they got back together.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my gosh, you were a lighthouse."
Yes.
Yeah. You shone so brightly, and then he couldn't help but see you, and then he came back.
He was the ship in the ocean, like lost
Yeah.
at sea,
Yeah.
and he saw the light of the lighthouse that guided him back to her shores.
I love it. Exactly.
Maybe I should write a poetry book instead.
Yeah. And then draw the ships.
Right? No, I was thinking of odes to hope is a thing I want to put in the book, either at the start or end of every chapter, like odes to hope, and write some poetry. I was a published poet at age 11.
Oh my God.
I actually have this really creative kind of streak to me that, again, you know, when we get in the mode of like, I was a consultant, and then you're in this world where there's no space for the two. And so you almost choose one mode of being at the expense of your broader complex humanity.
Yeah.
And now I'm like coming back and integrating, weaving them together.
Yeah.
That's such an inspiration for me. I was also, I was winning awards for poetry also at around 11.
Can you read one of your poems? Poetry book here? Self-love poetry is right behind us.
Is that?
It's literally the second book. Guys,
yeah.
when we peeled away the strengths book, self-love poetry.
Wow.
For thinkers and feelers was the book right behind it.
Well, we did deep research, and we just made sure to put the right books up here for this interview for your arrival.
No, can I have that book? Can we?
Yeah, here.
Should I read? I feel like I need to read from it also.
My friend Karina's poetry book. Speaking of poetry books,
Karina, I love Karina too.
Yeah, we love her. Loving Yourself into Being. We are not promoting any of these.
You should go to the authors of these.
Smash the referral link below, and you'll get the link to.
Referral link, but yes. Should we bring it back to a specific example? I'm dying to hear like. He said this, I said this, and this is what happened. Like,
okay.
I know you sound like a very big picture person.
I am. My cough. A concrete example. Well, in consulting, I feel like this is going to feel so soulless after all our
explanation. I'm hoping for
let's go for it. Yeah.
I will. Well, I don't know. That one's so fresh for me. I need
an old one.
An old relationship negotiation. Well, I'll just say this about all the professional negotiations. So as a consultant, we're negotiating projects and deal. And and that is really, in consulting, the product you're selling is people. There's no other product, right? Yeah. You're selling people's intelligence and capacity to get things done. And so it's funny. It's like when you're negotiating those deals with clients, you're like, you want all this work done and we have these people who can match it. But like, what is the money and the time frame that we can do that in? And you're actually like, the more senior you get when you're on the kind of cutting edge of those conversations, you're like, you feel the sense of responsibility because whatever you agree to, you're then responsible to people's lives for a bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If we sell a project that we say, okay, we'll do X million and it's going to take us a month or two with 5 people or whatever, then they have to deliver that.
Now they're locked in.
They're locked in. And so you're like, there's that. You almost feel this tremendous, like, okay, I don't want to overpromise the scope and I want the price point to be right so we can have enough resources to execute on it. Otherwise, I'm going to have my poor manager who's managing it with not enough analysts and their life's going to be ruined for a few months.
Yeah. Wow, you were a good consultant.
I did win some awards for Manager of the Year a number of times when I was in, So
Where were you at?
I was at Kearney for almost 7 years. Which was, And then the whole project is this ongoing negotiation. It's not just one-off, which I'm sure you've talked about this before, but it's like you do the one-off negotiation, but then once you are consultants working for a client, and this was even true once I went independent and I was doing my fractional work or COO roles, they want more. Right. Not because they're being malicious or what nefarious.
The scope expands.
Because you're good and you're helpful and you're helping them. And so they ask for more and so then you're in this constant negotiation, right? They're coming to you with needs. And then your job is to almost, in consulting, they say, and I actually love this, is like, let people ask 3 times before you really take it seriously as something that needs to be negotiated. Because clients will come and they'll be like, you become a container for their emotions almost. You're a little bit like a corporate therapist in addition to doing the work, right?
Yes.
So they'll come and they're like, now I have this new problem cropping up. Oh, I don't know what to do. So your first job then is to like, just hold it and like, be like, wow, yeah, that does sound stressful. And like, almost try to help them think of ways they can meet their own need. If it comes up a second time, you could be like, okay, and it sounds like maybe you're wanting us to take that on. Let's look at the scope we agreed. Does it really fit in there? And you have that. If it comes up a third time, then it's like, okay, well now we can really talk about, then is that an extra piece of work that we need to negotiate another separate scope of work? Can we do it within what we have? If we do, is there something we can deprioritize that we thought we were going to do that now I take that off the team member so they can do this other thing, which is clearly a priority for you?
I love this approach. Were you taught this or just sort of observing, or were you ever like trained on this? Like
we were sort of.
Okay.
Yeah, especially when you get to manager, we have these training weeks that are all about, we use Myers-Briggs and it's all about influence and having courageous conversations and art of conflict management and negotiating. Because as you get more senior, you are like, it's all becomes relational. You're no longer really delivering the work for the most part. You're not making the spreadsheets and the decks and the whatever. You are managing the relationship. Yeah. And so we do get taught some of these things. And this like, okay, you're a container, but you're the buffer between the rest of the team too. So if you are weak and are just like, yeah, we'll do it. You're putting that onto a team that's going to then die. They're going to burn out. And so you have to be really discerning and like, how important is this? And first, can I help them find a way to meet their own needs? Hey, do you have someone in your team that can look at this? Like, oh, you mentioned, you're trying to help them do that first. And then only if it's arising so many times that you have to, for the sake of the relationship, find a way to meet it, then you really carefully have that discussion.
Yeah.
I love this so much because it ties back to another big principle we teach our clients and audience, which is don't take things at face value. Just because a company says this is our best and final offer up front, like our first offer is our best offer, doesn't necessarily mean it is. I mean, Alex himself has been in a negotiation where they said their first offer was their best offer, but then, he increased his comp by hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
So don't necessarily sort of take it as truth, but like you said, maybe see if they bring it up 3 times. And
the rule of 3. I mean, I'm just making that up now, but why not? Because also you're not helping people if you just meet their needs constantly. If you bend over backwards and say, okay, yes, you don't help them either. There's like, you're robbing them of the whole process of like, it's this thing, what is it? Like if you give people a fish, then they'll eat for a day. But if you teach them to fish, they'll fish for a lifetime and have fish. That was not put eloquently, but you know what I mean? That thing, right?
Yes.
So it's like, can you, and even say you're negotiating a job package with pay and stuff, like the client, they think they know what they want and they have this job description. I've written so many job descriptions for clients and helped them hire executives and things like this, right? Even when I was a fractional COO, I was often hiring for my full-time replacement because I don't want to be full-time and that wasn't what I did. So you think you know what you want, but then you meet a person and the person's great and the person isn't exactly what you thought you wanted, but you want the person. And same in a relationship.
Right?
I
would have never guessed I would like end up with a military man.
I thought you would be like, with a guy like this. I'm like, what?
Totally.
Alex, I say Alex is beyond what I could have. If someone had asked, like, what's your dream man? He's like way beyond that. So,
wow, beautiful.
Yeah. I feel like we should have you
at our renewal of vows that we're at.
Yes. We have reached that portion of the episode.
Exactly.
No.
We need to have you for a part 2 because there's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, can I guess your MBTI?
Oh my God, please guess.
I think you are ENFJ.
So close.
Okay.
One letter is off.
Which one?
No. I'm ENFP.
You're ENFP? Okay.
Yeah, I'm an extroverted, intuitive, feeling, perceiving, which is exhausting.
Yeah.
It's so much like fluidy, feeling-y, and So actually it was a practice for me to learn some of the rigidity and structure of like what a S or a T or a J might have.
Because you talked about like, I have these boundaries and I am firm on them and all that. I'm like, oh, and you seem very well organized. And so I'm like, oh, maybe that's a J. But maybe you're
Yeah, no, I learned that.
I think in consulting, I used to work under ex McKinsey engagement manager, and I became more J. I'm also
yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And any final parting thoughts?
And how can people learn more about your work or your upcoming book, or
Yes.
what are you excited about right now?
If they want to listen to all your stories.
Yeah. Everything right now is on my website, which is TallulahLeMerle.com, which
we'll include the link.
And then in the impact piece, there's more on the book, and you can sign up to get notified when the book does come out. And there's stuff on my speaking and how to bring me as a speaker, or I do a lot of speaking and conferences, facilitation. Also, I'm a gatherer, I'm a host, I'm a connector, orchestrator. I said orchestration was one of my things. So there's so many interesting ways, and yes, thank you for this depthful, interesting exploration that we danced in and out of. It really was the art of negotiation and gentle power.
Yes.
And woo.
Woo is probably going to be the
you'll see that word coming up.
Yeah.
Tallulah, thank you so much for joining us. This was super cool.